everybody where you've been, what you did, and we'll use that as what you saw, and we'll use that as a point of departure to talk about this week at the DNC and this campaign season.
Sure. Well, I just got back late last night from Panama. I've been 2 weeks down at the covering the Panama's Darien Gap on the Colombia side first for a week on the Colombia side among the immigrants who are moving into the gap, and then on the Panamanian side for a week to see what was happening on the exiting Panama side of the gap. So there's a whole lot of sorry about that. There's a whole lot of there's a whole lot of material coming, reports that I have not even had a chance to write yet. But the reason I was there in the first place is because the new president of Panama has decided to close the gap. And that's a huge policy U-turn for Panama, the first time ever that I know of, where the government there wants to actually shut down all of the illegal traffic coming through there on their way to the U.S. border. Now, keep in mind, about 1.5 million plus illegal immigrants have crossed from Colombia through that passage, and all of them are inside the United States today. So whatever the Panamanian government wants to do with this gap matters a great deal to the American border and to American border security and policy as a whole.
Do you feel that as Democrats gather and try, I don't know if they will try or how they will try, to say that they deserve to be trusted on border issues? I mean, the actual border czar herself will deliver an acceptance speech on Thursday night. Do you feel like we have a grasp of this, that there's nothing like a problem getting really, really bad, as the border has, to wake people up to some of its nuts and bolts? Is it kind of a silver lining there, at least this year?
Well, the problem with the border and illegal immigration really is that the country is pretty low information, and I mean all sides of the partisan divide and everything in between. And so it's very, very easy for the Democrats to say something that is just simply not verified or not verifiable. That sounds pretty good. For example, right now they're saying, well, the border is at the lowest illegal immigrant crossings that we've seen since Donald Trump, since the first days in office of Joe Biden. And that's kind of true. The numbers are really low. But then nobody ever points out that they've been flying hundreds of thousands over the border so that they don't have to count them coming in, and they've been passing hundreds of thousands more over the land ports so that they also don't get counted. So if you count those, which is just as many people coming into the country as were coming in illegally, then it doesn't look so great. But it's a low information environment out there about this sort of thing. People don't know that. What do you mean they're flying them in? Yes, for nearly 2 years they've been flying, somewhere on the order of 500,000 people from all over the world into U.S. cities on these kind of legally questionable entry permits that nobody's approved. No congressional approval for these things.
Well, let me ask you about that, because there are 2 seconds. Get that in a second, because I want to hover over that for just a minute, because I myself have seen, in going to DFW to fly somewhere, anywhere, and others have reported back to me at various airports, that there'll be a curious gaggle of families with like Red Cross blankets, cell phones. I mean, they don't look destitute or they don't look like they're about to die or anything. But they somebody put it to me in a call the following way: it didn't look like necessarily the kind of family that looked like they just paid for a trip to New York City. Yet that's where they were going. Is that? And I don't want to draw conclusions. I don't want to jump to conclusions. But is that the kind of optics in various American airports that might be common under what you've just described?
Yeah, there are many different kinds of operations going on through our airport systems. I mentioned just one of them, which is, they call it the CHNV program, 4 different nationalities that they've allowed to fly in from foreign countries into U.S. airports. you can't really tell the difference. You mean they look like anybody else. I mean, you don't know really who they are, and that's the design. They don't want you to be able to tell. But then there's other operations where they need to move. The government wants to move people off the border into cities and not make them ride buses. So there's money out there for airline tickets, and there are NGOs out there that are providing guidance and escorts for families to all parts of the country. There's individuals that are just crossed the border and got in a couple days earlier, and they get a pass to go to the airport and fly to wherever they want to go. And so there's all this sort of thing happening. But I'll tell you this, as somebody who travels a lot, in domestically and foreign, if you know what you're looking for, if you have kind of high information, if you know what you're looking for, you see them everywhere throughout our entire national airport system, all the time, in every city. If you know what to look for, so it's just a matter of that. We've had 3.5 years of nonstop multi-million person years of people coming in from abroad over the border, and they got to go somewhere. They have to transport all around the place and all around the country, and they're still doing that. You can see them at bus stations and at airports and everywhere.
Well, let me do 60 seconds right now, and then if you got another segment, we'd love to do it. Is this something that that when Trump becomes president, and if we're blessed with a Republican Senate and a Republican House, that the spigot of funding for this operation can just instantly stop, or is it baked in so much that it'll take a while to bring this ship to a halt?
It might take a little while. Look, there are hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars earmarked through FEMA, through USAID, through the State Department, multiple sources of just the floodgates of cash going into aiding and supporting the movement of illegal immigrants from abroad over the border, and also once they're in, to resettle them. But the spigot can be shut off pretty quickly. Let me use that as a point of departure, and hang in for one more